Sempervive here with you for the next hour talking about professional wrestling, which is something we do every single day here on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Tune in, iHeart, American Forces Radio, Cable Radio Network 2, sportsbyline.com, over-the-air affiliates, podcasting, or maybe you're watching on video via Twitch or YouTube. However you're joining me today, just like to say thank you. Hopefully wherever you are, it's sunny outside. If not, hopefully it's sunny inside your mind. It's got to be sunny inside my mind today. Cold and cloudy day here on Delmarva. Can't let that get me down, though. It's Fun Friday. Well, I guess not fun for all of you, as you noticed. Brian Alvarez not here today, but take some solace in the fact that he's at his kid's school having some fun. He's the crime dog today. I believe he's only doing this for the free Lunchables and Capri Suns that they hand out, but we'll have to ask him on Monday. And when we do get to Monday, we know it's going to be have a lot to talk about because it's a busy, busy weekend. That starts tonight. Actually, it starts right now, literally right now. And this is one of those times where that statement stands, whether you're listening to me at 3 p.m. Eastern Time live or you're listening to me on the replay at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, because SmackDown has begun in Barcelona, Spain. We'll see it later on here in the States. I believe outside of North America, it is live on Netflix. So everybody in the chats, be nice to each other when it comes to the spoilers. We'll take a look at what's planned for that show and take a look at last night's Impact, the go-home edition for tonight's TNA Sacrifice. Let you know what took place last night and the card for tonight. Plus, I'll give you an update on where New Japan stands right now with the New Japan Cup. Got Scott D'Amour's Maple Leaf Pro running 2 shows this weekend. WWE has gotten into the European football belt-making business. Plus, we got news on ratings and a whole lot more, including where and when the next pay-per-view after WrestleMania will be and who will be making an appearance on that show. A lot to get into, and we'll get it started after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Welcome back to the show. Mike Sempervive here with you. Jim Valley is going to be in this seat tomorrow. Not this seat, but he's going to be at a seat in his house talking to all of you at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Andrew Zarian takes that role, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. Through all of the same ways that you're listening and watching me right now. I'd also love it if you made the wrestling news part of your day, of course. You can find it wherever you find all of your favorite podcasts or find it on YouTube as well. TheWrestlingNews.com and at WrestlingNewsAV on X and Facebook. Every single day of the year, everything you need to know to get your day started, get you up to date, or get you to your favorite long-form review pod like Wrestling Observer Radio. And if everything holds according to schedule, Dave and Garrett will have a new one of those up there for subscribers a little later on today. If you want to ask Brian what he does as the crime dog at his kid's school, you can do that in person because the F4W convention is taking place WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas, April 18th through April 20th. Live Q&A with Dave and Brian Friday, April 18th at the Palms. Watch parties at the Suites for both nights of Mania, which are almost sold out. After parties at the Suite for both Saturday and Sunday. Lunch at Texas Day Brazil on April 19th. Brunch on April 20th at the Wicked Spoon. And, of course, the main event, Vinny V's Karaoke Bash at Go Go Karaoke Las Vegas, April 20th. Find out all the information that you need to know over at f4wonline.com/Vegas or just go to the front page of the site. You can get a link to it and you can even ask all the questions that you need to whoever you need to. There's a link there for that as well. So there you go, all the information you need to know on that. Some information on people planning for Backlash, the next premium live event WWE is going to be having after WrestleMania. On social media Friday, St. Louis native Randy Orton delivered the news that the annual premium live event will take place at the Enterprise Center on Saturday, May 10th, and that he will be in attendance. The pre-sale for that show goes on next Wednesday. Last year's Backlash took place in Lyon, France, and it set the then record for the biggest arena gate in WWE history. That record, of course, has been broken several times since, as they have told you over and over again. What Orton did not announce, though, is that John Cena is going to be there, and that apparently is going to be the case. And take that for what you will when it comes to your betting options between him and Cody Rhodes at this year's WrestleMania. I have a feeling that John Cena will be walking into Backlash as the new WWE champion, The Rock's champion. But will he be the people's champion? What about that belt? SmackDown, as I told you before the break, going on live right now in Spain. For all of those wondering, no, here in North America, at least here in America, the United States, that is. Got to be careful these days. In the United States, the show still airs on USA at 8 p.m. Again, I'm not 100% sure about how it's working on Netflix internationally, but again, just in case you're sensitive to spoilers, just be aware that things are going on right now. Special episode of Miz TV has been announced between he and WWE champion Cody Rhodes. We have Women's Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair against B-Fab in what is Flair's first singles match since facing Asuka at Tribute for the Troops on December 8th, 2023. She was out with knee surgery for a long time. Randy Orton against Carmelo Hayes in Orton's first singles match since last October when he beat Javon Evans on NXT. He's been out selling Kevin Owens' piledriver until he came back at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And then the WWE Tag Team Championship will be on the line between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa against the Street Profits. So I don't know about that. We could see a title change there just to go ahead and do it. They're going to be in Europe for 2 weeks. That might be a good way to kick off the European tour. The Street Profits have kind of been just kind of lingering anyway here for a while, so why not mix it up a little bit? I'd love to see the Street Profits and the Guns for that belt. I don't want to see Pretty Deadly in any mix at all. I'm looking forward to this draft whenever it happens to start shaking up these rosters and maybe getting some new people in the mix going on. One person who possibly, maybe, conceivably could be in the mix for WWE is apparently Jeff Cobb. On Thursday, Fightful reported that WWE has its eyes on signing Cobb, with one source claiming that he is already on the internal WWE roster. Cobb's New Japan contract expired earlier this year, but he's still competing for the promotion at the moment. Dave Meltzer confirmed in the new issue of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that WWE and Cobb have had talks about him joining. He says, quote, "The only thing that we have heard from WWE at press time is that there have been talks but no confirmation of a deal." He added, Cobb is booked for the April 11th New Japan show in Chicago. So Cobb lives currently in Fukuoka, Japan. He's a former IWGP Tag Team Champion and New Japan World Television Champion. Probably has not been used up to his full potential while he's been there. AEW has brought him in as a monster a few times, basically to lose. He's not a very tall guy, and he's not the best promo in the world. But as they proved with Bronson Reed, you can have a little bit of a shorter, bigger guy who's maybe not the best promo in the world, because if they're out there killing people, not too bad. And again, him being from Guam, boy, it's a reach to put him in any sort of bloodline scenario or anything like that. But, you know, Hikuleo still has not debuted. You have Zillafatu is in the system, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to WWE. So there are people that are still there as this whole Roman Reigns and Rock thing, you know, still, we're going to have to get some sort of meeting on that at some point. If they start getting back in a feud with each other and bodies are needed, that could be a place where Jeff Cobb could slide in, but we'll have to see. He defeated Tetsuya Naito on Friday, today, to advance to the quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup. His next match in that is going to be on Saturday against Shota Umino. Two other second-round matches today for the New Japan Cup saw Drilla Maloney beat TJP and Shingo Takagi knock off Boltin Oleg. On Saturday, the tour stops at Dolphins Arena in Aichi, the quarterfinal round, with David Finlay against Yuya Uemura, Zack Sabre Jr. against Taichi, Shota Umino against Jeff Cobb, and Drilla Maloney against Shingo Takagi. Also on the show tomorrow, in the main event, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Hiroki Goto is going to be defending against Yuji Nagata. The semifinals of the New Japan Cup will take place next week, with the tournament winner going on to face whoever wins the Nagata and Goto matchup, probably going to be Goto, on April 5th in the main event at Sakura Genesis. Got a little bit of AEW news. Start with the ratings for everybody that loves talking about those. Wednesday's Dynamite drew an average viewership of 628,000 according to WrestleNomics. And as I can hear Brian in my head right now, did you guys know that doesn't include Max? That number was up from the audience last week of 600,000. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a 0.16, which was also up from last week's demo rating of 0.13. Collision is going to be live on Saturday night on TNT. Max from Las Vegas, the theater at the Virgin Hotel. The last two AEW International Title Eliminator Tournament first-round matches. Katsuyori Shibata against Ricochet and Mark Briscoe against Mark Davis. Both of them probably ought to be fun matches. I was still blown away with the idea of why would Lance pick Mark Davis? The Don Callis idea makes sense. What could also make some sense with Mark Davis defeating Mark Briscoe, at least in somebody's mind, because in my mind, Mark Briscoe would win everything all the time. But if Ricochet defeats Katsuyori Shibata, which I would expect, you have Orange Cassidy and Speedball Mike Bailey in there already. If you needed somebody to kind of like juxtapose those smaller three guys, then, you know, Mark Davis might be the right person to be in there as a base for these guys flying around. But in my world, I'd like to see Mark Briscoe in that match as well, too. Why they are doing a 4-way instead of just, 2 other matches that leads to a final, I have no idea. But next Wednesday on Dynamite will be the 4-way with everybody involved in that. Also coming up on Saturday on Collision, FTR, because that's where they wrestle, is on Collision, will face off against Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Got a bunch more to get into, including opening up the phone lines. I'll let you know about that after the break. Wrestling Observer Live.
Are you heading to Las Vegas for WrestleMania? If so, clear some time on the calendar because we have a lot of great events. It's our annual convention, the WrestlingObserver.com/F4W online convention in Las Vegas this year on WrestleMania weekend. April 18th, Friday, April 19th and 20th. We got special events every day. Friday will be the Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez live Q&A. You can show up. We've got a meet and greet. Perhaps we'll have some merch. And you can ask us any question that you would like at the live Q&A. This will not appear as a podcast, a video podcast, audio podcast. You can only see and hear the Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez Q&A if you attend live. That is April 18th at noon at the beautiful Palms Resort Casino in Las Vegas. We will also have wrestling watch parties. Have you ever wanted to watch wrestling with Dave Meltzer? 2 wrestling watch parties coming up that weekend, as well as 2 after parties. What is an after party? It's exactly what it sounds like. After WrestleMania, both nights, you'll be able to come back to a suite. I'll be there, Dave, a bunch of other friends and subscribers, and you'll get to party. We'll have alcohol, food, and more. These are the after parties after WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. If you want to go, you got to buy your tickets now. Tickets available for everything at f4wonline.com/Vegas. Easy. f4wonline.com/Vegas. Did I mention we're going to have a f4wonline.com/Vegas? See you there.
Back on the show, Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. Filthy Tom Lawler is, I believe, en route to Arizona right now doing something like that. That's why he's not here today. Brian is out playing the crime dog. He'll be back, I believe, on Monday. That might be the first time you hear from Brian, is going to be late Saturday or Sunday night, early Monday morning. There's no UFC show this week, right? I don't believe that there is. I don't believe that they'd be doing a post-show after Collision tomorrow, Dave and Brian. So, yeah, you might have to wait for Brian for quite some time. Boy, is that disappointing or what? Not if you're a member, though, of WrestlingObserver.com, because there's 5,787,000 radio shows that are available, and many of them, at least 3.5 million of them, have Brian on them. So if you're ever in Brian withdrawal, there is always that. Of course, there is always After Dark as well, too. I can't afford it right now. I can't afford to be a member of the site. I just listen to Sports Byline all the time. Don't worry. Brian, at some point, is going to pop up again with After Dark. Check out him and the Reverend from this week's show. You can get your Brian fix. If you're a European football fan, we call that soccer here, you can get your WWE title belt fix as well as all of the teams are doing here, except for the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course. The WWE has decided that they will make belts for 13 top European football clubs. I saw some of those teams. I don't think they're top anything, but teams like Man U, Man City, Inter, AC Milan, PSG, Chelsea, Juventus. There's a bunch of them. Dortmund from all over all over Europe there. So they're step one as far as WWE expanding out into every possible market in the world and tying them into every other sports franchise in the world. $549 US is what they are listed for right now. I was going through an old box trying to find some things, getting stuff down from the attic when Lance was doing the show. It's like, okay, we can get some things done around here. I actually found from 1987 the original foam. This was the NWA's attempt at making a title belt. This is supposed to be the big gold. I believe years later, obviously, WWE did a far better job at replicating what it was there. But, yeah, I saw those, and I had to laugh. Actually, the coolest thing I found, though, was because this works for people on radio. They love site gimmicks and everything. This was something from now literally 20 years ago. We were on WrestleMania 41. This comes from WrestleMania 21, the infamous, or I shouldn't say infamous, but the famous WrestleMania Goes Hollywood ad campaign that they had, which was some of the best stuff that WWE ever did, were the mock movie trailers that were going into that show, but they actually had, and again, you got to be a person of a certain age, I think, to appreciate this, but they actually had WrestleMania viewfinders that they gave out to the cable and satellite operators out there. Probably impossible to see this here. Maybe, possibly. Yeah, see, there you go. On video. That's the sound that would make when you'd go to the next thing there. But, yeah, so I found that. Didn't even know I had it. I thought that was pretty cool. So, there you go. Nostalgia. It's always a wonderful thing. Scott D'Amore has nostalgia. He had it for Maple Leaf Wrestling. And, yeah, don't worry. I got visual aids for that, too. The old stranglehold programs from Toronto. I got a bunch of these that I put up on the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling Patreon, patreon.com/Mid-Atlantic Podcast. And these are actually from the Tunney office themselves from back in the day. And I would love if they did this for the new incarnation of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. They are going to have 2 shows beginning tonight up at St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario, the same place that they were at the last time around for their shows. Same location that TNA has been at plenty of times as well, too. The shows in October on 19th and 20th were, universally good reviews. I didn't hear anybody say anything terrible about those shows at all. I saw Konosuke Takeshita's main events, and they were both very, very good. One was against Speedball Mike Bailey. That was good. The one the next night against Josh Alexander was awesome, and we know Speedball Mike Bailey's there. We have heard Josh Alexander has signed with the company as well, too, so we could be seeing rematches down the line of those matches. D'Amore talked to Fightful today, and he said, quote, "I was very touched and very happy with the response to the shows, the originals, and very happy and very proud of everybody coming together to put the events on. It is a daunting task to start them from scratch, have everybody come together to have, I certainly won't say seamless or perfect, nothing ever is, but I think the broadcast was top-notch. I was really proud of the product, of how it looked and how we presented it, and I thought the 2 nights of wrestling action was as good as anything out there in the world." So he's just really obviously happy about this. I'm happy as a fan for everybody up there in Ontario because obviously with TNA working with WWE and D'Amore being forced out, there was a little bit of a hole to fill there, especially if you're in more of an AEW fan. Okay, we're kind of frozen out of the TNA deal here. Okay, where can we maybe see some of these people? And obviously with D'Amore opening up Maple Leaf Pro, we've seen Takeshita there. We've seen several other people as well, too. maybe they've got a door open with the NWA because Tom Latimer is going to be defending tonight the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Bishop Dyer. They're also breaking out a Maple Leaf Pro Women's Canadian title tournament for the next couple of days. The first round matchups tonight, Serena Deeb against Aurora Tevez, B. Moss against Taylor Rising, Giselle Shaw against Elaney Luck, and Kylie Ray against Zoe Sager. Kaito Kiyomiya is over from Pro Wrestling Noah. He'll be facing Sheldon John, who was in TNA for a while. A title belt, talk about too many title belts. A Jericho Cruise Oceanic title six-way scramble match. Mo Jabari against Taiji Ishimori, Stu Grayson, Brett Banks, Rich Swann, and Michael Allen Richard Clark. A wacky lineup that is. Mike Bennett is still alive. He still exists. He'll be facing off against Alex Zane. Blake Christian and QT Marshall against Kevin Knight and Kushida. And there's also going to be an 8-man tag as well, too. Billy Gunn is going to be on these shows, so a lot of wackiness. Tomorrow also is Matt Taven and Mike Bennett against Kevin Knight and Kushida, and that ought to be a pretty damn good match, too. Game Changer Wrestling's got some shows coming up this weekend as well. They are back in Atlantic City at the Showboat, Ashes to Ashes, and so much fun on Saturday and Sunday, respectively. Now, if you want to call in, because I know Don the Don Ratzenberger has been dying to call in today, you can do so. And there's no internet line. There is no West of the Rockies line. No, there's only one line that you need to know for today. 1-800-878-PLAY. 1-800-878-7529. That's how you can call into the show. It is not Dom today behind the glass. It's Bailey. Be nice to him, okay? He's already got a lot on him. He's got to deal with me for the entire day. And now we're going to make him answer phones and push buttons, okay? So make sure you pass along your good tidings towards him. You understand? Before you come on here and then yell at me for something that I said. So somebody complaining that in one of my throwaway comments, like when Brian was talking about the women's match between the Toni Storm and Mariah May. I talked about that match for 2 days. I talked about it with Filthy Tom on Monday, then I talked about it on Tuesday. And one of you geeks that's listening right now, who doesn't use their real name online, was pointed out to me and said, didn't like that I called it a spectacle. Like, I don't know what kind of match it was, but boy, it was a spectacle. And they complained about that. What are you complaining about? I said I liked the match. I said it should have been the main event. Gave praise all over it. You took that little comment and ran with it. Line item listeners are the worst. You're just looking for something to whine and complain about, okay? At some point, those things are going to have to drop, okay? They are going to have to, and you're going to have to deal with this, all right? People have a differing of opinions. It was a throwaway comment because it was a spectacle. Wasn't exactly like the greatest match in the world, but I liked it. Not as much as Kevin Owens, though, and Sami Zayn. I still like that more. I got to be honest. I did like that match more. If it was a 1-to-1, but I know I'm probably in the minority on that. Now somebody can complain about that. Tell me I'm sexist for liking the wildness of the Owens match and with Zayn more than the other one, but that's fine. I don't care. It was my Brian moment of the day, just to be whiny about somebody online. I also want to be a little whiny about AEW's tag team division, because I was kind of looking at the roster after Brian was listing down a bunch of names and where everybody's been, and I saw the ROH results from last night, and I saw that there was a team called the Frat House, which I had never heard of before, which apparently is Griff Garrison and Preston Vance along with Jack Jameson. They have a new tag team together, and it's like, man, they got the Infantry, you got the Premier Athletes, you got Angelico and Serpentico, Lee Johnson and Nduka, Moriarty, in that mix with Shane Taylor Promotions, Top Flight. We see that Leo and Action Andretti may be the next opponents. Again, they were in the crowd for the Hurt Business, but man, you got a lot of teams. And where are the Outrunners right now? And again, Brian hates when I bring up the Outrunners, but I use them as the example just because they need some credibility. Put them in a feud now with, I don't know, Taven and Bennett. They still exist. Use them. Give some guys some wins and losses against each other. Build that tag team division up more. Now, when it comes to the six-man division, I kind of wish they would lose that. Those belts probably should quietly go away, even though they do still have a ton of factions. But let's get the tag team division back together again. Please, please. What do you think about that? Give me a call, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Find out what you think after the break. Wrestling Observer Live.
Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. We got a big Elimination Chamber report here. And also Collision from Saturday, which actually was a pretty damn good show in its own right.
I was not told to watch Collision.
Vinny?
I forgot to text him Thursday night. I figured he'd be in bed. I said I'd do it tomorrow. And then Friday I bought a car. I was busy, and I've been forgotten. John comes out, looks into the camera, and says, "There's a vibe in here tonight."
Sure is.
I'll see. Punk's eyes are bugging out of his head. Seth is still there screaming, "Die, die!" And Seth gets his way. Punk dies. John Cena wins. I thought the finish of this was incredible. Great stuff.
God, Travis Scott. Jesus God almighty. This was exactly like when Hogan used to come to the ring, Dennis Rodman trailing him, and Dennis Rodman was like on another planet. He had no idea where he was at, stumbling to the ring. He had basically have to drag him down there. This Travis Scott was on another planet, dude.
Well, the first time he was on the show was on that Raw show. He was smoking a blunt in the audience.
They go from the hug to a shot of Cena's angry heel face, and they cut right to Rock On. And then he kicks him right in the balls. And the crowd freaked out. The John Cena turned heel. Hulk Hogan, he was getting booed before he turned. It was a risk, but, they were getting sick of the guy anyway. The problem with Steve Austin was he was the top babyface, and there was nobody to replace him when he turned. John Cena's been gone forever. He comes back. It's not like he was going to be the top babyface. They got 50 babyfaces. Cody's the biggest babyface they got. There's no risk whatsoever turning John Cena heel. He's 10 times more interesting now. The Cena and Cody feud is 1,000 times more interesting.
Travis hit Cody Rhodes in the face as hard as he could. I bet that sucked.
This was a big deal, and I didn't see it coming.
You guys need to listen to Observer Live on Friday.
No thanks.
Because some dude called in, all bombastic and outrageous.
Do y'all think that John Cena is going to be the one that turns heel and joins The Rock as his champion?
No chance. And I shot him down. I laughed at him.
Wow.
I said it's not going to happen. John Cena's here to sell tickets and merch as a babyface for his last year. He ain't turning heel.
They need to make shirts for John Cena that just say, "Can you see me now?"
I got to apologize to old Dwayne. I thought that guy was out of his mind. He got me. It was awesome. I cannot wait to see where they go here.
Back on the show, Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. Chris_Prime49. The Outrunners were just on a pay-per-view a week ago. You're right, they were. Now get them back on TV and get them involved in something. So the only time we see them isn't like, a workout video and then they go and lose. Like, why don't you have them go and beat, I don't know, Top Flight? Or the Grizzled Young Veterans, or, I don't know, anybody, They could actually stand to be in a feud where FTR turns on them, and they don't even have to win a match. They can just look good against FTR, who could make them look far better than they are. And they have a really hard-fought series of matches where even if they don't come out on top, people actually have more respect for them. Then, okay, we have some credibility for these guys. Same thing with like the Hounds of Hell. All right, they beat the Gates of Agony one week, and then they turned around, they lost to Lashley, and and Shelton Benjamin, and then that was it. No, they should be kicking the hell out of like Big Bill and Brian Keith and Taven and Bennett in the infantry. I mean, I don't know. Look at Survivor Series 1998, and there's the Hart Foundation, who were the champions, if I'm not mistaken, and there was Demolition, and there were the Rougeaus, and there were the Rockers, and, you know, over on this side, you had, you know, the Brainbusters, who at that time were tied in with the Rockers, and you had the Bolsheviks, which were down here, and the Young Stallions were here, and you knew one team couldn't really beat that team, but you maybe... It's just simple credibility and building things up and making feuds matter and just having some of these things happen instead of random matches. And again, that's, you know, part of what Brian's issue was yesterday with the Ops and the 6-man. Like, yeah, those 3 guys, we have had Vinny Pacifico on here a lot. He's a great guy. I'm glad he got his opportunity. I'm glad those other 2 cats did as well. But like, for what anything anybody wants to say about Max Caster, like, at least he's on TV every week. You may think he's a geek while he's losing all the time and all that. I bet you he'll get more over than some of these people who are sitting there not doing anything right now. So, you know, again, I just drives me nuts because I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling, and I'm a big fan of what they initially had talked about and what they had initially done with a lot of the teams in that promotion. They've just kind of let it go to the wayside. You have so many great singles people there. You know, Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh is not a team that I'd like to see, but stick Jay Lethal with somebody else and try to get something out of it. I don't know. There just seems to be, there could be a lot of answers here. Lord knows I don't have those answers. Maybe one of you have those answers. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Don the Don, Southwest Virginia, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. You know, I was you called me Ratzenberg earlier. I wish I were related to Cliff Clavin, but I'm not. I'm a bird, and it's a Rossburger. But anyway, that's not what I'm calling about. I'm calling about the fact this main event that they had last weekend, you know, the one that everybody's been poo-pooing. Well, I actually really liked it, though, you know, my biggest complaint was that I lost $4,000 on DraftKings because Shota Umino didn't show up on his motorcycle. I put all my money on that. It didn't happen. But you know, otherwise, it was a pretty good. It was a great main event. You know, I loved it when Christian reached over. He should have won with his hands. You know, just reaching over. That would have been so good, and it would have made all the IWC, the internet wrestling communities, it would have just cheesed them off. They would have been so mad, and it would have been so great. You could just feel the hate. You know, it would have been great. Yeah. How you doing, Mike?
Now, obviously, that would have given you some joy. So, you know, the schadenfreude of watching other people just completely break down and melt down over Christian getting the victory there. But let's be honest here. Would that have been the best thing for TNA, you believe? Or, I'm sorry, AEW?
Well, you know, it would have been great for the scrums. I mean, Christian was always great in the scrums, you know, coming out there, just being crappy to everybody. That was just good comedy, good stuff.
Don,
you know,
anything else, my man?
You know, I'm waiting for someone to really smash Max Caster. You know, because he's just a chump. He's just a chump. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Don. Thank you very much for calling in here. 1-800-878-PLAY. 1-800-878-7529. I believe Mike in Canada's on the line. Mike, how are you? Maybe not. Maybe we don't have Mike in Canada.
Mike's gone.
Mike, we've dropped Mike. Mike is gone. Oh, well, sad thing. If you want to jump in, take Mike's place, you're more than welcome to. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. It's Fun Friday, damn it. So, you know, call in. I don't know where the theater at the Virgin Hotel is in Las Vegas, but I told you that's where AEW Collision is going to be tomorrow. Wonder if they'll cross over with any NASCAR folk. NASCAR's entire circuit, the big series, whatever they call the Winston Cup now. It's still going to be the Winston Cup to me. It's the Busch Series. And then they got trucks, Craftsman trucks. I believe that circuit is still the same. One of them's Xfinity. One of them, I can't even remember. Doesn't matter. What matters is all of these things could converge together. And in fact, WWE's Chelsea Green and I want her to have the hat on the car because I know she's going to be wearing one. I need the pace car that she is going to be driving on the CW for that Busch Series race, that Xfinity Series race. I want to see the pace car have a big Chelsea hat on it as it drives around the track. So that's also what's coming up in Las Vegas. If you happen to be randomly there, that's what's taking place. Don't go to Filthy's house, though, okay? Please, at least not unannounced. You probably won't like what you'll find. Brandon in Virginia, what's going on, Holmes?
Hey, what's up, Mike? Hey, so I had a thought. I know this three-way between Roman, Seth, and Punk, people think that might main event one of the nights of Mania, but it actually wouldn't make sense exactly because I feel like Seth, one of his goals is to make sure Punk does a main event. So, like, if somehow that match main events, then, like, in a way, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really make sense consistently-wise, story-wise. So I'm not sure what will main event, but in my mind, it kind of wouldn't make sense in a way for that to main event. Any of the nights of Mania.
I got to be honest, man. I don't think there's any question, and I'll throw it back at you because I honestly think that with the men closing one of those nights, obviously Cena and Cody Rhodes on Sunday, it's hard for me to believe that either Tiffany and Charlotte Flair, because it's Charlotte Flair, or a three-way with Bianca, Io, and Rhea Ripley wouldn't be the thing that ends up closing everything out.
I would agree, especially with that last Raw segment between Io, Bianca, and Rhea. I mean, that match has a lot more interest and heat than I think Tiffany and Charlotte does right now. So, and with the whole factor of Jade possibly, you know, I mean, I know she's kind of tied up with Naomi, but maybe she becomes a factor too. Yeah, I think that match would be more exciting as the main event. Absolutely.
Man, I want to thank you very, very much for the call and always being there for us to call in on Fun Friday. If anybody else wants to jump in, they're more than welcome to. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. You can throw anything you want out there and one of the chats as well, too. Yeah, I just think that in this day and age, I mean, as we're moving to, again, you got a women's Intercontinental title, women's U.S. title. You have two-night shows now where, why not? You know, to me, unless, you know, you just have nothing going in, you might as well have a big women's match closing out. And it's hard for me to believe that Rhea Ripley is not going to be involved in that because otherwise, what's the match, you know, for her? Like, who is the opponent for her? Who would be big enough to face off against Rhea Ripley? You know, who? You know, to me, she's got to be in that title mix. And I know it's probably rough if you're an Io Sky fan first out of those three women that she's going to be the one that probably takes the fall. She gets the belt to be the person that loses it, you know, in that match. But I would love to see Rhea back in that mix. And then I figure Naomi is going to get murdered by Jade at WrestleMania. She'll figure out a way to avoid her for these next couple weeks leading into it. And then she's going to get absolutely demolished, which will then maybe lead to Jade and Bianca. And I like the idea of that matchup too. And Rhea doesn't need the belt. She just doesn't need to get beat in that match, in that main event. But if Bianca does something shady, Rhea hits the riptide, Bianca knocks her out of the way, steals the pin. Again, she's been acting somewhat heelish. Yes, we've got Naomi, and we've got it right now where we don't know if Bianca looks like she's kind of out of all that. I have a feeling she'll be drawn back in because for Jade, there's no better opponent for Bianca too as far as her first, you know, feud. You know, she had the tag feud with teaming for a while, but as far as a singles match goes, as far as somebody who she would be best to work with, to me, that's by far going to be Bianca. So if you want to maximize Jade, I would put them together. And the plan for Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, you know, that's been, you know, since the jump from Royal Rumble, looked like it was going to be the match. Now we've got a little bit of a, you know, wild card thrown in there because of Paul Heyman and CM Punk's relationship. Obviously, everybody's going to be in Europe at different times here leading in the next 2 weeks, before they come back. We'll see how everything kind of ties together and what they're going to be able to do with everybody leading into that match, but I'm looking forward to it. Going to have to put some heat on Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, and I'm going to be very interested to see how they do that because, unfortunately for Damian Priest, he's just kind of lingering. It's not like he's in a bad position or anything like that, but it's the embarrassment of riches that they have up on top right now where what can they do to kind of, stoke some of those flames in that match to try to get that up and be a bigger thing. Obviously, Drew McIntyre online, Drew McIntyre on the microphone is going to be great, but it's going to be interesting to see where Damian Priest, where he kind of lies there. And am I the only person that would like to see Dominic Mysterio, and I can't believe that I would ever say this, turn babyface here at some point? I mean, either with Liv Morgan, without Liv Morgan, flip her too if you want. I don't know if that's the best move or not, but I see Finn Balor and I see Dominic, and he keeps wanting to bring in people into the Judgment Day, and keeps looking like Finn's kind of going to be on the outside there, but I'm not saying that he's going to be like Eddie Guerrero as a babyface. I don't think it's hard. You can't hit that level, okay? You can't. But I also know that from the time of me watching Eddie Guerrero for all those years, it's been 30 years, damn near, since the first time I saw Eddie Guerrero wrestle. And here we are 30 years later. He passed away a long time ago. Dominic Mysterio in this whole character, turning against his father and hooking up with Rhea and getting the slimy and the mustache and the whole 9 yards. I mean, yeah, he won't be able to work like Eddie, but could he be the new incarnation of lie, cheat, and steal? And maybe not be the world heavyweight champion, but be a player in the mix for some of these Intercontinental and United States titles? I bet you he could. And I don't know if that'll happen or not, but the more things kind of move along with what's happening with the Judgment Day, I would absolutely love to see that happen, especially with, at some point, Penta and Phoenix coming in and all that. It's just, I don't know. Pop myself with that idea. Hopefully I've popped you too, at least in one sense. We'll be back. Wrestling Observer Live.
Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Well, we reviewed SmackDown yesterday, Tom, and you don't even get SmackDown. You're very, just, you know how you are.
Fine. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever.
That's your impression of me?
Yeah, that's my impression of you.
Wow.
So what are we, at least, I hope you at least watch a SmackDown main event.
I watched the entire show.
Okay, because there's a lot of people that still like your review, Tom.
I went on the board, and I saw like 2 people.
Yeah, do you go on Twitter?
Yeah, I do go on Twitter,
You read my emails?
I do go on
Twitter. The text messages? I mean...
Do you go on Twitter? Because if you do,
unfortunately, yes.
You would have seen one of the greatest moments in world history.
In world history, really.
World history. Frank Tate walked away the victor of the fight, but he walked away an even bigger winner when it comes to life. This man completed what I would say is the best high five, the best dap up in the history of the galaxy. This man had his dog. And when I say dog,
barely a dog.
I mean D-O-G and D-A-W-G. This was a dog, baby. The dog was so proud. You can see just the elation in that dog's face. He threw that paw up. He let it hang for a few moments, and then he brought it down for the dap.
Tom's not even doing this justice. Everyone has seen a dog, like you put your hand out and the dog like puts his paw up to shake hands. This freaking dog goes, ah, hoppa! Like, what? That was more than a high five. I don't even know what you would even term that. He dunked. He dunked that man.
30 million views on this clip. And that is about 1/10 of what it should have. So if you haven't seen it, you deserve it. Treat yourself. Go to my Twitter. Watch Frank Tate high five his dog.
No, he did not high-five his dog.
The dog high-fived
His dog high-fived him. Yes. He just wanted like a, just boom. And this dog was like, no way, brother. You knock that man out. I'm going to give you a big-time dunking high-five from way up high. You go high-five, up high, down low, too slow. This was an up high. Guy should have pulled his hand away.
It's the best thing you've ever seen.
Man, too slow, Joe. Yeah, it was pretty good. Not going to lie. I liked it.
Back on the show, Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. Brian Alvarez will be back with me on the show on Monday. I believe that he will, at least. Jim Valley joins you tomorrow, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Andrew Zarian with you at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Didn't even talk about TNA. I threatened to do it, and I didn't end up doing it. Impact last night, the go-home show. Couple of NXT appearances. Ariana Grace was on commentary for Cora Jade and Tessa Blanchard's win over Masha Slamovich and Lei Ying Lee, the former Xia Lee, in NXT. I thought the best thing on the show was actually the sit-down summit between Mustafa Ali and Mike Santana, going back and forth. Just good, passionate promo from Mike Santana there. A lot of it they're really leaning heavy into the fact that he is an alcoholic, and they're having, Mustafa Ali kind of play that up. Maybe they were a little heavy-handed with that, but as far as the clips that they showed during it and the passion in the promo from Santana, it's some of the best stuff that arguably he's ever done. They're going to be facing off Tessa Blanchard against Lei Ying Lee tonight. Street fight, Sami Callihan against Mance Warner. 6-man tag, Ace Austin and the Rascals against Wes Lee, Tyreek Igwe, and Tyson DuPont. Call your shot, gauntlet winner. Frankie Kazarian will face off against Steve Macklin. As I mentioned, Mustafa Ali against Mike Santana. TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Title 3-on-2 handicap match. Spitfire of Danny Luna and Jody Threat defend against Ash by Elegance, Heather by Elegance, and the personal concierge, who the Director of Authority, Santino Marella, added to the match on last night's show. And then the big ones, the TNA Knockouts World Title, Masha Slamovich against Cora Jade. Could we see a NXT, somebody take that belt, Cora Jade? Why not? It wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Also, the 10-man tag team cage match between Elijah, TNA World Champion Joe Hendry, Leon Slater, Matt Hardy, and Nick Nemeth against the Colones, Eddie in Orlando, and the Systems, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and JDC. This is taking place live tonight on TNA Plus from the El Paso County Coliseum. The show's actually sponsored by Queen of the Ring, which is going to sponsor the AEW show that's going to be coming up as well, too. I don't know if that's ever happened before or not, but I know I got to go because the music's about to end. I want to thank you all out there for listening and watching. We shall talk to you again after a while.